Hey, how's it going, everybody? Today I'm going to be giving you a full-on life update. I think we're kind of long overdue for a life update. And I want to talk to you guys about why I quit my firefighting job, kind of the things that we're doing instead, the way we're moving forward, and kind of what all happened during this past 6 months to a year. I mean, it's really been a year, so if you're still watching the channel, I really appreciate it, because I mean, you guys have really stuck through a lot of bullshit in the past year, to be honest. But while I do that, I'm going to be taking the Ford Raptor up to get a transmission fluid flush because it is doing some weird shifting. We just drove it from Washington State to Florida and back, and I think that the transmission fluid's probably low because it doesn't really like shifting right now. Okay. It's been really difficult for me, to be honest, to bring myself to talk about all this stuff. But at the same time, I feel it's really important to tell you guys the reality of these things, because I'm pretty sure that just based off of the way that I've been posting and the way things have been unfolding, I'm pretty sure it looks one way and it actually is another way. Let's talk about the fire service. To give you guys a rundown, give you a background, I wanted to be a firefighter my entire life. Since I was a little boy, I wanted to be a firefighter or a stuntman, whichever one came first. I put a lot of work into becoming a firefighter. I joined the Army when I was 17 because I knew that it was going to give me preference points to become a firefighter someday. I didn't know any firefighters, I don't have any firefighter relatives, and so it's extremely hard. If you don't know this, it's extremely hard to become a firefighter. I took an EMT course, I aced everything, I worked my ass off, tried to get a job, I was too young. My EMT expired after a few years, and I went and took it again. I went to a volunteer fire academy and I used my GI Bill to pay for it. Right out of the gate, I got hired as a volunteer firefighter. So it's a part paid firefighter. I did that for 8 months, and I went around and I tested it and I interviewed everywhere I could. After 8 months, I got hired as a professional firefighter at the age of, 22. And I went to a nuclear facility and I was a firefighter there for 11 months. Like most people, that was a stepping stone. And so then I got picked up at my last department. And to me, it was the dream job. I was so happy, so satisfied. I did a year of probation and then bought a house and moved out here after about a year of commuting. And everything was awesome. Everything was great. I really enjoyed the work. I really enjoyed the people. I really enjoyed the department. And I was very happy. I'm pretty sure this goes for most jobs. Your job experience can be defined by the people that you work with or the people that you work for. When I was working for the right people, it was incredible. And when I switched to work for someone else, it was a goddamn nightmare. It was so frustrating, and I was working for the most idiotic, terrible leadership, and I just had such a hard time with it, always. It was so frustrating. I had absolutely zero respect for this person, and his boss, it became the same way. Originally, I really respected his boss, but I learned to hate his boss. His boss was such a narcissistic piece of shit. It got to the point where I was so unhappy there, and it was so frustrating because any other shift that I worked for, I would thrive there. I would have fun, I'd hang out with the people, we'd get our job done. It was great. But when I worked for this person, it was just a nightmare. Every shift was a nightmare. Every shift I was getting drug in and there was complaints about something. It was just complete micromanaging, and he wanted us to fit this role that he had in his head. He wanted to pretend like we worked at, like, I don't know, New York Fire. And he wanted to act like our job was something that it wasn't. And it just drove me absolutely insane, to the point where I literally was just disgusted to go to work for these people. And a lot of it was because a lot of the very illegal and shady bullshit that they were doing to control people. And I'm not alone in this. And I know it's easy to just be like, well, whatever. You're just this silly YouTube guy, wears headbands now. But it's not just me. A couple years ago, a firefighter committed suicide from the same department. They've been sued multiple times. There's a massive number of people that are out on medical leave right now for psych, and the department just seems to chew people up and spit them out, and they pretend that they care, and they really don't. They are extremely just and I just haven't decided. I haven't decided if I want to like smoke them on here or not, but let's just say that it was an unhealthy place to be. And that is so unnecessary when you're doing a job it's a public service job where you really need some grace. It's really hard to define the job. You deal with a lot of really terrible things all the time on a regular basis, and that was starting to nag on me as well. But all of that was easy to cope with when I had the right crew, when you could come back from a really brutal call and talk about it with your team, and you felt safe with those guys, and you felt like you did the best you could. You did a good job as a unit, as a team. But we didn't have that. We would come back, everyone would just disperse and then talk shit about each other, and it was just a really toxic place to be. And I'm sure that if you're a regular subscriber, you probably noticed that it had a toll on me, and it really did. I was so miserable. I was so depressed, and it's weird to talk about it like this. And maybe this is healthy for me, I don't know, but I wasn't suicidal in the sense that I was like, I want to harm myself. I just didn't care anymore, and part of me was so sick of the anxiety and the stress and the lack of sleep and the constant unfounded disciplinary actions of and just the constant runaround and gaslighting. It was just I was so frustrated that I was hoping my paramotor would fail someday, or I would have these really dark thoughts. I would be flying, and I'd be I could just slip out of my seat and it'd be all over. And it was just really bad for me. One example, and we'll get real dark here for a second, was we had a really, really graphic, bloody suicide, and the woman used the exact same pistol that I have. She laid in the bathtub and blew her head off, and I had to put a bag over what was left of her head, get into the tub with her, and try to pull her out. And it just, every time I saw my pistol, I would think about that call, and then I would have the thought that I could just end it like she did. And it was just so graphic, it was so fucked up, man. It was not, I just don't know, and Desiree could see that I was so upset and so miserable, and I was trying to keep a fire lit under everything I was doing, because I didn't really see any other way out. I had to keep YouTube going. I had to get sponsorships. I had to find some plan B. I had to find something, because the direction that it was heading was so bad. And I looked around at all my colleagues, and they give their lives. You literally give your whole life, all the energy, all your soul, everything that makes you a human being, you pour into this job, and the department gives you a pin. If you're lucky, if you're at all different than anyone else there, they ridicule you and treat you like shit and force you out. And that's essentially what happened, is they went out of their way to make me as miserable as possible, because I didn't fit the mold, because online I looked happy and I had things, and I was just constantly greeted with drama every time I went to work, so much so that I couldn't sleep. Just extremely unhealthy. I was having full-on panic attacks. I've never had a panic attack before, and the darker things got for me, the more remorseful I felt for people that I was seeing. And I could relate more to the anxiety attacks and the suicides and the depressions and the stabbings and all that stuff, and my whole world was just turning dark. I was constantly anxious, and I constantly felt like I couldn't do anything right. I would go to work and I don't know, I'd just get in trouble for something. And this is after they said I could have a YouTube channel, agreed that I could do it. So it's super tough because I have to like face the reality that having a YouTube channel painted a target on my back and essentially got me forced out. But I quit because I felt like I needed to take that from them. I needed to just remove myself from that scenario. I was not fired. I'm not sure they could have legally fired me for anything, and I think they knew that. And I think that they just chose to make me miserable. And they did. They were very good at it. It sucks because I feel really bad for a lot of the people that are still stuck there. There's so many people that have texted me or reached out to me that said that if they had another option like I did, that they would leave too. And it's such a common story in the fire service because just the job has changed so much. I mean, it used to be that you were a family, a really close-knit family that all hung out, and you would run a few calls a week that were all, serious calls, but you made a difference, and you would bond together and you'd deal with the trauma of those calls as a group. And instead, it turned into running 15 calls to 20 calls per day of like this, most of them nonsense, and it just wears you down so much so to the point where you don't have any energy for people anymore because you're so frustrated with the people that are constantly calling you. And then all the firefighters just turn on each other and eat their own, and they just eat each other alive, and they just fucking make everybody miserable. And then that's your state of being when you walk into a call and someone dies right in front of you, or someone, or something terrible happens. Somebody shot themselves in the head and their body's still alive, but they're brain dead, and you're fucking pumping their chest and blood's coming out of their face. Like this channel, I never talked about firefighting. I never talked about it because I didn't want there to be a target on my back about it. I'd never discussed the things that we did, the things that we saw, the things that like the department was doing. Like, I never talked about it. I just dealt with it on my own and never shared it on this channel. It was like I was living a double life. And that's what they made me do. They like to paint this picture of the fire service as this traditional family, core values, really nice thing. But the reality of it is it's a for-profit business. They charge you to turn lights on at a car wreck. They charge you to clean up oil spills. They tax you so that they can collect income and make profit on all of the people. And it's very much a system to get everyone to like and appreciate and love the firefighters. And specifically at the department I worked for, they cared so much about their public image, but they didn't give a shit about their firefighters. Like, they just didn't take care of anybody. Like, if you had any issues, they would just discard you as quickly as possible and then try to appear like they were the best. And I remember, like, when COVID happened, the chief had everybody go around in the trucks and turn on all their lights and flash their sirens and drive through the city as if it was like this uniformity thing. All it did was freak everyone out, and it was such a clear attempt to be like, look at us, don't forget about me today. I know that everyone is so upset. Well, we're here. And it wasn't like we're here to help you. It's hey, make sure you check yes on your voting form so that you can give us more money so that we can build like a $10 million fire station with granite countertops and we can all get raises. And I shouldn't even say all this because it's gonna just completely eradicate my chances of ever becoming a firefighter again. But after everything that I went through at that department, I'm not sure I really can be. It's like high school football drama for the rest of your life. I'm serious. So essentially, after all the illegal bullshit that I saw and the treatment of their members, I saw an opening and I took it. And I'm so thankful that I did. I mean, life is stressful in an entirely different way, but oh my God, man. If you're a firefighter out there or a police officer and you're just being dealt the shit hand over and over and over again, you might be too tired to even realize how good life can be outside of all of that. And that's something I really want to drive home to people, is that like, they purposely paint this image of like this glorious job, and it's not. It's no different than like the military campaigns to recruit people, where it looks like you're this badass super soldier running into battle with all these other people. Then it turns out you're shit on over and over and over and over again. And that's the exact reason why I got out of the Army. And it's the exact reason why I had to get out of the fire service. And there's so much more I want to say. Like, there's so much more. I'd love to go into detail, but we're holding off on all of that so that I still have a card in my pocket if I have to. Old Jiffy Lube. Lubing on up, boys. I really hope they have an opening for this today. They got a little bit of a line. I really like to just get in and get it done. I fly out to Chicago tonight at like 11:30 tonight. So I really want to get this done before we drive to Portland. I'm bordering on going on a rant here, and so I'm just gonna shut it down now before I say too much. But bottom line is, I was really unhappy. I wasn't really treated fairly. I wasn't, I don't know. I felt like I was kind of bullied, and I really wanted out of there, like really badly. And I was just stuck in this routine, this non-stop grind, and the only like saving grace was the support I had on YouTube and going out and doing cool stuff on YouTube and living my life. But going to work as a firefighter every day was just a reminder of how short life was. And I just got to the point where I just couldn't tolerate being treated that way anymore. And so I just quit. I jumped through all their hoops for years. I jumped through their hoops and did everything I could to prove to them that I was skilled, and I was a good firefighter, man. I was like really good with skills, great at tests. I know my stuff. I just didn't get along with the people there. Some of the people there. There's a lot of really good people still there, and I really miss them a lot. But I felt like somebody had to just kind of say enough's enough and prove to them that we're not all willing to just put up with it forever. Like, we're not just gonna get pushed around. And I don't know, the fire service has this this thought that you'll never leave it once you get in. That's just not true. Like, there's other options out there. There's a lot of ways to make 80 grand a year. Like, a lot of ways, a whole lot of ways. And sometimes you just don't need to give your soul up for that 80 grand, or put up with people that you just can't stand, or put up with an environment that's just completely unhealthy. I mean, now it's visible. Like, you can see, I can feel a difference, but you can see a difference. Like, there's life in my eyes again. It blows my mind that I lived like that for so long. It blows my mind, and it's hard to talk about. It's hard to admit how bad it got. Thank God for Desiree and some friends and family and the therapist that I talked to, because it was brutal. Yeah. And unfortunately, now I have to constantly question myself. Like, was it me? Was it them? Was it YouTube? And I always try to give people the benefit of the doubt. I'm always the good guy, trying to be like, well, I know that they're just sleep deprived and stressed out too. But it's not true. They were vindictive and horrible. And they're hurting a lot of people. I'm so glad I got the transmission fluid changed and flushed flushed and changed. It's one of those things I hate paying for, 300 bucks, but it's good to know that it's done. The truck should shift properly now. So, after all that drama, where does it leave us? What are we doing? Well, pretty much I spend every day here on the property trying to make improvements, trying to work towards our goal, our dream of owning a venue. We have a whole lot of projects here on this property. What we were going to do in 10 years, we're trying to get done in 2. That means every day I get up around 6 and I get started working on the property or editing videos or doing marketing. What I love about this is, for the most part, all of my efforts go towards building my own dreams. It kind of dawned on us, like life wasn't going the way we wanted it to go. We kept holding on to the idea of what life could have been or should have been, and just kept going with that flow. And it's like, I feel like people get so tired, they just keep their head down and they just keep going on this course, and before you know it, half their life is gone, and they're so in deep, they're so committed that they don't have any time to pull out and make change. You know, and I'm 30 now. I turned 30 this year, and it just seemed like I had all this potential to be happier, to be happy. I had all this potential to be happy, and I just had to go for it. And it was going to be a lot of work, and it is, but it's been worth it. We're always preaching, don't forget to live, but I found myself just not enjoying my life at all. Despite all the cool toys and the awesome property, I didn't have any energy. I didn't have any energy to enjoy it or appreciate it. I was always anxious, thinking about work, worried about work, worried about my supervisors, worried what my colleagues thought, worried what everyone was saying behind my back. Now the only thing I got to worry about, my own stuff, my own things, myself. Gross. So when we bought this property, we wanted to turn it into a wedding venue, and we thought that we were going to turn that barn into a wedding venue and have weddings here out on the hillside. And unfortunately, the barn is just too far gone to be able to do that. And so we're building a brand new barn. That costs a lot of money, obviously, but we managed to get our financial stuff situated in a way that made a ton of sense. Our house is worth a lot more than what we paid, and we were able to do a cash out refinance, and it actually reduced our payment, but we were able to take $100,000 out, which is pretty unbelievable. But we dropped our percentage so low that we basically are taking it all out of what we would have paid in interest. And we're going to be able to use that money to build a business right here on our own property. So all the money that we put into our own property, it helps us out, but it also builds a business. So I think it's really, really smart. This little second hillside here, have a little altar there, and you get married and you get to look out over the valley. Down there we have a tiny house, which we'll put up for Airbnb. Des and I like to travel so much, and we feel like this place is just super magical that it just kind of needs to be shared. And so we won't always be here, but we're really hoping to have the Airbnb open in a few more months. I've been working every day on the Airbnb. It's a lot of work. We also have 9 terrible, terroristic cattle that are constantly getting out. The other day, I had to build a fence all the way across in front of this fence because the cows were breaking through that fence, and the neighbor was upset. How do you like Daddy being home all the time now?
I like it. If Dad was home all the time, that could make me so happy.
so happy.
Well, being a firefighter is too hard.
It's too hard.
Yeah. Here we go.
Mom's gonna open the gate for us. That's so nice. This little side field is what we're gonna turn into kind of like a flat parking area. I'm not gonna tear up the grass or the gravel, or I'm not gonna gravel it or anything like that. I'm just gonna level it. So we just bought a bulldozer. It's a 1989 Case 450. And when I get back from this trip to Wisconsin, I'll start bulldozing all of this and trying to make it a little more level. I probably won't get it perfectly flat or anything like that because there's just not enough material here. But the idea is to be able to park some cars in here. And I have no idea, and I have no metric as to like how many cars we can fit or how it would work. It seems like you could fit a lot, but then you also have to keep in mind that they need to be in rows that allow them to get out at any time. So it's tricky. Checking out the Gambler car? By the way, if you guys haven't checked out the Gambler 500 series, you should totally check it out. It was a ton of fun. Perfect example of me getting to be myself again. Like, it's just been so long since I've been able to just be like, I don't know, myself.
That's how I watch out for a sticker bush.
Yeah, you gotta watch out for the sticker bushes. So yeah, pretty much every day I'm out here on the farm or I'm working on business. When it comes to business, we have a few different things. I mentioned that we do some marketing efforts for a couple companies. So that means I take pictures and videos, I run social media, I make like creative print stuff, and I go to shows. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot more relaxing. It's kind of in a line with what I'm already doing on YouTube, so it just kind of like flows really well. I get to choose my schedule. I work from home. I get to work on it whenever I want to, and because I'm a contractor, I'm not an employee. I'm building my own business, and all of the revenue comes to me pre-tax, and it allows me a lot more wiggle room to grow everything else that we're working on. We have a farmhand on the property that helps us out with a lot of the honey-do list type stuff, and we have a virtual assistant who helps with a lot of the clerical stuff so that I can have a little bit more time. But I'm going to be outsourcing a lot more stuff as well soon. One of the big ones is editing. I spend probably 40 hours a week editing, which is why you guys will see like a huge reduction in videos every once in a while, because I have film stuff, I just can't edit it, as I don't have the time to do it anymore. So yeah, right now it's kind of just this one-man operation, and we've started to outsource some things, and it's been really, really helpful. As soon as I get this tiny home build done, we'll hopefully get to rent it out, and that'll open up some revenue to outsource some other stuff. Yeah. Oh.
Strung up your bracelet.
So nice. Oh, this hand. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Second plane from Chicago to Wisconsin.